made you start with bodybuilding?
I'd seen the Rocky films. I saw Rocky 1 and 2 on video, Rocky 3 at the cinema. That was probably about 83. 85, Rocky 4 come out. Blew my mind away. Loved his physique. I wanted to look like that. And I was like 14. I was skinny, short, so I was getting picked on a lot at school. I'd defend myself, but I didn't have the confidence, the body armor. So I started training, bought a set of weeder weights, trained at home. At first on my bed, benching on my bed, a full body workout from weeder. And yeah, and then I progressed slowly throughout the years, brought a multi-gym. But I always trained at home from 85 to 94. And then I started working in the gym, and then the gym I had.
You transitioned from gym owner to actor. So how is that going? How's that transition been? And from someone who's been in the fitness industry for so long, yeah, that's quite a transition. So, but not unusual. You know, Steve Reeves, Reg Park, Arnold, right?
Everyone's got a sideline. You need a sideline. And that's what I've learned through doing the acting, that they don't rely just on acting. So everyone's doing something on the side. Well, my first gig was on the side of the bodybuilding, but I was doing it as freebies, you know, guest on this show and that show, documentaries, because I've always wanted to do acting. So basically my parents weren't backing me up on that. I didn't have their support. I didn't have the confidence when I was younger to carry on with that. So at school, my best subject was art and drama. And my drama teacher sent me for an audition in London. I live about 45 minutes from London. My parents have got their own business, which was an Italian confectionery store. And when they had, I don't know, 15 years at the time, I can't remember. This is like 85, 86. So my father took me in the car. But by the time I got to the audition, my father had downed it so much because to him, it wasn't real. It was a fantasy. And because I didn't have that confidence then, I went to the audition, deflated, and I didn't pursue that dream. I was training as well at the time. I started about 14. And even that to him was a waste of effort, energy, when I could be helping in his shop. And in about 93, 94, that's when I had my first proper acting job in Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone. And he was my idol at the time. And then I had a near fatal head-on car accident. Broke my leg in 3 places, broke my nose. I was in bed for a while. I'd been thinking about opening a gym, but now I was recuperating. I thought, I want to do this. And my father thought, yeah, do it. And my mother was against it. She didn't think it would work. But for my dad, it was real. Give him a chance. Let's help him. So I started my gym with 16 pieces of equipment, and it just got bigger and bigger. One small gym. After a year, I moved to a bigger place, which was 1 floor. The upper floor came available after a year, got it bigger. And that's when the competition started. So in the first year of the business, a customer said to me, you should compete. You do really well. You'd blow them away with your biceps.
How old were you at this time?
97 was when I first competed. It was the day that Lady Diana died, and I was 26. So 26, I started competing. But I only did it for the gym, so I could say, yeah, this is what it's all about. And I came third in my first show, which was the novice class. But then I just got the bug. I was never good at any sports at school, always last in races and etc. My parents were never proud of me of anything I accomplished. I always yearned that. So I started competing. I won my next show, which was a qualifier in the under 70 kilo class. Went straight to the British, came 5th, I think it was. Every year I qualified, went to the finals, 4th, 5th, 3rd, for 7 years. And I finally won it 2003, 7 years later, won my class. Because I've won the British, they put you in the British team, and went to the Worlds and come second there. And I retired. I mean, it was all about winning the British. That was my goal. It's a lot of sacrifice every year. I retired. I was married, had kids. It weren't going so well after about 3 years. So I needed distraction. And she was all supportive at first, but then once I got going, she just made it hell. But I persevered, and the goal was to win the Worlds. And I entered the Pro-Am on the road to it. I'd done the Musclemania Europe. That was probably the hardest show I've ever done. And then Rob Feasey was in it, Andrew Merrifield. I came second to Rob Feasey, which was wow, because Rob, he was cleaning up every show every year. I think from 2001, if he was in it, you didn't have a chance. Yeah. So when I found out them two were in it, weight. I mean, Andrew Merrifield's also, he's a middleweight normally, but I think the Muscle Mania was under 75, so he just made it. So the next show, I didn't plan to do it. I was invited to do the Pro-Am. So the Pro-Am in the UK is basically the best of all the British champions against each other, no weight class. But I never did it thinking I could win it or anything. I just did it because it was on the way to the Worlds. So because I'd done the Muscle Mania European and I didn't win it, Muscle Mania, my sponsors paid for the trip. So I was grateful for that. But because I'd unbelievably won the Pro-Am against guys I used to look up to. So it was Jason Barnett. Me and him had many battles together. He used to beat me all the time. And then I think it was 2003, I started beating him, Rob Feasy. Everyone thought he'd win it. Divo Savecchio, he's a middleweight, and I won it. So my promise to the president, Michael Phillips, was if I won it, I would do the British. And I didn't want to do that. For me, it was a very scary process because I left it on top. I've come back 3 years later. I didn't want to lose the title and see what other people were doing, trying to re-win it. I went there and it was tough. I won that. But because I won that, I was sent to the UIBBN World Championships. So I had 2 World Championship titles to have a chance at winning, and came third there. And then I had the Muscle Mania and I won that. And that's when I retired.
How old were you when you retired?
2003, 32.
Could there be the possibility that not everybody was natural?
Yeah, that's right. Is it 5 years natural there, I think?
Okay, so you could have even had people who might have been natural at the time, but maybe weren't in the earlier years of their bodybuilding.
You can see the difference.
Yeah.
You can see the difference.
But you won.
Yeah.
And you are lifetime natural, Tony?
Yes.
Like Robert Feasy, who also claimed lifetime natural on the podcast as well. When you look at the stats, I think it was like 140 pounds or something on stage, Robert Feasy.
65 kilos. I think he was 10 stone 3. He's got a lot more mass.
How tall are you?
I'm 5'5" or 4.5.
Okay, and you on stage are?
I think it was about 10 stone 3, 4.
What is that in kilos?
65. But the world's is under 65, and I just make it. It's always touch and go whether I make it or not. But I've always made it.
Yeah,
My skin was like that.
Yeah. So, and then in the quote unquote off season, where are you sitting at? Where were you sitting at back in the day? Like in terms of weight?
What do you mean? What, not off season?
No, off season. So you're 65 kilos on stage, dry, ripped, shredded, however you want to describe it. And then in the off season, when your goal is muscle growth, what were you generally sitting at?
Well, the first few years, I'd balloon up after a show, just
eating
non-stop. Yeah. I remember putting on 3 stone in 3 weeks after the 99 World Championships, because a lot of people thought I should have placed higher. And it was my first Worlds and destroyed me because I knew I was in my best shape of my life. In general, about 12 stones a comfortable weight.
So yeah, you were about like 25 pounds or so above stage weight.
I'd always have to lose about 2 stone.
And that's where you felt like most productive as far as training was concerned?
I'd like to have kept leaner. I'd like to have stayed about a stone from competition weight. But being Italian with Italian family foods is just impossible.
Yeah, because you have the Italian last name, right? That's Italian, right? Born in the UK?
Yeah.
Okay. You felt that ideally you would have liked to be 1 stone away from stage weight?
Yeah, it just makes it easier when you diet down. It's true, though. The heavier you are, the stronger you are. So if you're lifting more weight, you're going to build more muscles.
So you retired at not very old. You were, did you say that again? 32 years old. So you were quite young when you retired.
In all honesty, if it weren't for the difficult marriage, I would have carried on. Because I was at my peak. When I returned, that was scary because I didn't want to lose the title. I wanted to leave on top, and I've done more than I ever imagined. I won everything that year.
I spoke with Robert, and he said that his peak was by 40. And when you were retiring, he hadn't even started yet. He started at like 34, 35 is when he really started competing. So I find that's interesting. If you kept going, your peak probably would have been, who knows, it might have been 38, 39, 40. That's an interesting thing because for natural bodybuilding, retiring at 32 is quite young comparatively to, say, the enhanced side like Arnold.
Because the marriage is difficult, and she actually said, if you do another show, I'm divorcing you. She said it jokingly. I achieved more than I wanted to do. I wanted to retire on top. I saw like Rob, for example, once he won it, he'd not lose the title, but he was trying to win it again. And maybe I could have done better. Who knows? Every year I progressed. Every year. From like the first show to my last show. So I've done over 30 shows. You go to like family events or whatever, or with the family, but your mind's not there. You're there, but your mind's not there. The hardest part is that you've married someone who was supportive. So when you're courting, she was very supportive. And I know, yes, you get married, you've got kids, responsibilities. I kept those responsibilities. I always made time for my family, but that wasn't good enough. It's more of a controlling thing, because once I stopped competing, nothing changed. 4 years, she wanted a divorce, and I didn't compete or anything, so you can't blame that.
Right. So I was just about to say if there was any lessons there, but it sounds like
No.
maybe not.
I've got many bodybuilding friends who are married, got families, and they've managed. I felt I was still there, even though, I always made time. I always played with the kids.
Better situation now, I assume.
Yeah.
But you're not competing though anymore, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah. So now I'm focusing more on the acting side.
Is that full time now, the acting for you at this moment?
I wish.
Oh.
But I see it as my bodybuilding. It took me 7 years to win it, and that's how I see my acting. So it's been 4 years. I mean, I've progressed.
You're in your 40s now, Tony?
Nope, 53 in a couple of weeks' time.
So you have no aspirations to compete again, right?
Well, unfortunately, so back when I was working in this gym, it was full of steroids. And, I'd always trained at home from the age of 14. And I started working in this gym. Everyone's doing it. I remember one young guy, he asked me for advice, and I gave him advice on training. A few weeks later, he's like this. And I'm like deflated, all my athletes after all these years. And I remember I brought steroids, and this guy who was into it showed me a book on how people exaggerate the bad side of it. I'd always trained for me. I never wanted to be huge. But anyway, creatine came out, and someone in a bodybuilding magazine died from, they didn't say steroids, but I thought, no, I gave it back. I didn't want it. So I started doing creatine, but it did work. So I was stuck on 90 kilo bench press and shot up to 135, done 4 reps. You're young, ego, wait. But that's when I started having this shoulder problem on this shoulder. And a few weeks, months later, it got better, carried on training. But it'd always flare up now and again. I think the year after I finished competing in 2006, I'd say 2007, it flared back up again. Went to the doctors, arthritis, osteoarthritis. You've got to stop training. And I did. I left it for probably a month, but I started getting depressed. So I thought, okay, I'll train again, but I just avoid exercise that hurt it. So basically that was shoulder press, side raises. And then after a while, I had to drop incline dumbbell, but I was able to train for many years without doing those movements. I was going to make a comeback. Once I finished competing, I got involved with the NPA, the federation I was competing in, and I started running my own qualifiers.
That's the NPA, the Natural Physique Association, for those.
That's right. There was 2 partners. They parted ways because the president didn't want to compete with WMBF Worlds. So basically, UIBN is a French organization. It's always the French who were winning, and we'd had enough. They saw that when I came third. It was very French. So we tried to go with WMBF. So in 2009, because I was involved with the NPA, I was the coach for the team for the Worlds, for the WMBF. Had a meeting with the president, with the NPA, but I got so motivated to do the Worlds 3 years after I finished competing. I wanted to do the Worlds. It looked brilliant. Came back motivated to do that. The president decided not to go with the WMBF. So the 2 partners, he wanted to do the WMBF. So he started his own federation. That started in 2010, Lee Kemp.
Is that the UK DFBA?
That's it. Yeah. So he started that federation. But, I wanted to compete, but because of politics, Lee Kemp didn't like that I was involved with Michael Phillips in NPA. And I just thought, I can't do this. And I just left it. But anyway, I carried on training. And I'd say 2009, that's when my shoulder was. So basically, I couldn't do any chest movements now. Benching was fine for years. And then I couldn't do that. All I was left with was pec deck. And it was the first time in my life I had to ditch my diary. I've got diaries from the start, 1985, 86, right up to then. And I had to ditch that because I couldn't be pushing myself anymore. I had to do what I could do. And that was horrible. Then lockdown happened. It got worse. I couldn't train at all. I had appointments for the doctor, MRI and all this. And basically the surgeon said, you're very young to have this surgery, total shoulder replacement. Look into it. And he goes, we'll do it, but you can't train anymore. And I said, why? Because one part is metal, but the other part is a plastic disc. So it's a replacement ball and socket. And that's plastic. And the more resistance you put on it, it'll wear out. Unless you want to come back even sooner, it will last without resistance 10 years. But I weren't sleeping because the pain was so bad, I weren't getting sleep. So it was a no-brainer. My father and my sister have got shoulder problems. I don't think the weights helped it.
So maybe a bit of a genetic component influence there.
Yeah, yeah. Once one is done, it won't be long till the other one needs it. And I thought, the pain was so bad on one side, I ignored the pain that was there. About a year later, this started playing up. That's been done 8 weeks ago. And this one, sorry.
Okay, so you did the surgery.
Yeah.
How's the pain?
It's getting there. I'm getting stronger. So this was 3 years ago, and this is about 8 weeks ago.
Okay, so you got both done now.
Yeah. So my training days are over unless I want to go back into surgery again. I can't do anything. I think after this was done, I did do a little bit, but because the pain started hurting so much on this, it stopped me.
So you're basically saying that as soon as you start training, your symptoms start to flare up.
Before this was done.
And what about now? But you haven't even tried.
Now I can't because I'm trying to get stronger. So I'll show you the scar.
Yeah. Okay.
So my bicep completely went. They have to detach the bicep to get to the shoulder joint. So I lost 2 inches of, I don't know how much, but I lost a lot of size. My strength was gone, and now I'm doing rehab.
You are doing like exercises, but not in the traditional sense that the listeners are thinking. We're talking about rehabilitation type stuff, light resistance, just to create some stability around the joint.
Yeah, that will progress throughout the weeks until I start to use bands to strengthen it. Strength-wise, this is good.
Yeah.
Pain's gone. I can sleep. When you can't sleep at night, it affects you in so many ways. You know, because it's recuperating. I'm starting to turn a bit now because I'm a side sleeper. So it was very awkward to sleep like this. At first, it was upright. Then I've slowly gone down. Now it's more, I'm like this more now. And it's not too bad. But now I'm looking into, for exercise, something body weight.
What you'd like to progress towards? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. I hate looking at myself at the moment. So when the gym closed, because of the shoulder problems, I didn't keep any of the equipment because I thought my training days are over. But my son, who was 15, 16 at the time, he wanted to keep some of the weights. So I kept some dumbbells, the mats, barbell, the basics. And through lockdown, people started messaging me, would you PT me, old clients? Then I see that, you know, you can't just rely on acting. So I had to. And then now I've got a full gym. That's my sideline now.
Okay, so you're doing both again. So you're basically, you got a full gym. Is it like a home gym?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Very nice. Well done. So you train people and then you do the acting. That's a cool combo. But I know you did the gym thing for a long time, so it comes naturally to you, right?
Yeah, especially when you see your clients progressing and they've got a small chest, now they've got a big chest and getting that pump, and you miss that.
Right.
And to be honest, when you invite me for this, I looked at your podcasts with Rob, etc., Ian Duckett. It's so frustrating.
It brings back memories.
Yeah.
I know.
I want to do it and I can't.
But maybe there's a way to train progressively, just not in the way you're used to back in the day, right?
It's always been adjusting to what your body can do. No shoulder training to 2 exercises for chest. It was adjusting every year to nothing. I could train legs, but then I'd be the opposite to everyone else.
Yeah, you'd be like those cyclists, right?
Yeah, I can't just train legs.
You won't go in and hammer your legs once or twice a week because you can. That throws you off more mentally is what you're saying.
I've always trained as a complete physique, and for me, it's just not doing that.
Any lessons learned there from the training side of things?
Apart from that time with the creatine, I don't think I ever went overboard. I always trained for feel, and I didn't stick to one routine. It's always changing. But one of my favorites was max op, 4 to 6 reps.
Oh, the max OT.
Yeah, max OT. So that was 4 to 6 reps. And I was doing that when I was competing, and maybe with the body fat being low, it wasn't good on the joints. Maybe. That's what I don't advocate now, is low reps. No, I train for feel, higher reps, no lower than 6. Our bodies are not made to take these poundages.